Hey everyone, it's Dominic, the Primetime Treasure Hunter. Welcome back to another video from deep inside Primetime Treasure headquarters. I'm going to take you through an example today of what to do if you receive the dreaded PayPal e-check, including what to do if the check goes bad, bounces, that sort of thing. And so let's jump into the example item. It's one that may seem familiar to you because I showed it to you at this What Sold on eBay in June 2019 video recently, and that's this item right here. It is the Funko of Phoebe from Friends. This is a retired item. They don't make it anymore. It had a little bit of damage to it, which took the value down a bit, but I sourced it for $1 at a garage sale, had it listed for $59.99, and I took a best offer of $50. Now, at the time that I showed this in my What Sold video, it still was technically sold, and I was waiting for that day to find out if the check was actually going to clear on it. So that's why I still included it. And in the past, when I have received e-checks on PayPal, which is how this item was paid for, they've always eventually cleared. Now, for people who are not familiar with a PayPal e-check, if you haven't received one before, what it's basically going to look like is this. You're going to get this message. It's going to say, blah, 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 sent you an e-check payment for $50. And the wording is very important. You have to pay attention to this. This comes from PayPal, not eBay. It says you received an e-check payment. Like a regular paper check, an e-check may take 3 to 5 days to clear. So let me stop reading from there for a second. That's real important. 3 to 5 days to clear. It's just like a regular check. What the person is doing is they are using their bank account as a source, and they are not relying on any other line of credit, like a credit card that's linked to their account or something like that. So it does require check clearance, and it says that's why you'll see the transaction status set as pending, and that's in your PayPal account, of course. Now, this next part is super, super important because, again, you're getting this from PayPal, not from eBay. So if you're new, you may think, oh, I got the payment, I need to send the item out. This example will show you why that would be a mistake. It says your buyer has sent the payment, but if you're shipping a physical item, we suggest you wait to send it out until the e-check clears. We'll email you as soon as the money is in your PayPal account, and then you could see they estimate the check will clear sometime between 6/28 and 7/2/19. Now, I sold it, as you could see here, on 6/24/19. So what I do in this situation is I immediately notify the buyer that there is going to be a delay in shipping out their item. And I tell them, I say, thank you for your order, but because you chose to pay for it through an e-check, that does require does take 3 to 5 days to clear, and PayPal advises that I don't ship the item out to you until it clears. And every single time I send that message, I get a response back that says, no problem, I understand. So that's what you have to do. You want to at least make sure you communicate to the person, because if not, the person might think that you should have sent the item out already. They might not know the message that gets sent across to you from PayPal, that you should hold on to it. And so it's just very good to just be transparent. Just put all the information out there for the buyer right at the beginning. And obviously, they would be notified once you shipped it out if the payment cleared. Now, one of the things I just want to mention as an aside is you will see here that the buyer has 0 feedback. And some people are going to say, well, you should not take any offers or do any deals with people on eBay who have 0 feedback. And if that's the policy and position that you want to have on that, I completely respect that if you want to do that. I don't do that. Now, in this situation, things didn't go right, but it's the first time in years, and that's one of the things I want to emphasize to you, years. The chances that, or the percentage, I would say, that you're going to have a situation go well with somebody who has 0 feedback compared to a situation that's going to go bad. In my experience, I mean, yours might be different. You can let me know in the comment section, but has been just 99% positive and 1% negative. And the reason why, and I did a video on this, why you should take offers and do deals with people on eBay who have zero feedback is because, number one, everyone has to get started somewhere. But related to that, a lot of people don't realize that your eBay items, especially if they are up long enough, they are going to be searchable on Google. And so imagine the person who knows that their spouse or their child wants the Phoebe's number 266 retired Funko Pop. So they type in some of those keywords into Google and it brings them to my listing or brings them to your listing and they want to buy the item. Problem is they don't have an eBay account. So they have to sign up for one for the first time ever. And if you have your settings locked off that you're not going to accept an offer from them or do a deal with them, then you lost the sale to that particular person. You may sell it and send it to somebody else, but with that particular person, you did lose the sale. So I just keep it open, and I haven't had an issue with it until this situation happened right here. So let me kind of take you through what happened. I received this message, and then I got this on June 28th. It says a recent payment to you didn't complete. Now this is exactly why you do not want to send out the item, because if I would have sent out the item, then the person would have it and I'd be out with no money. And there's no way I'm going to get that item back. So there are some people that can use this technique of an e-check as a scam. I know a lot of people are worried about scams. I can't tell you whether or not this actually was a scam. It could very well just be that the person didn't have enough funds in their account, or maybe they had the funds in their account, but for some reason PayPal didn't trust it and just nixed it. So, who knows? But the bottom line is, regardless of what the cause is, you should not be sending out items if the check didn't clear yet, because this exact thing could happen to you. So now, once this happens, a couple things I want to tell you about that's real important through eBay, which is that, and I'll just bring up my eBay page while we're here, which is that it's still going to show up on eBay as that this is a, I don't even have anything installed right now because I just shipped everything out, but it's going to still show up in eBay as a sold item. And when this message right here comes across, you would like to think that it's going to get updated within eBay to say, hey, this is no longer considered sold and an unpaid item case has been opened up. Especially if, like myself, you have unpaid item assistance set up, which I do so that after 48 hours of non-payment, a case is opened and then the person has a few days to pay, and if they don't pay, then you could close it out, you get a refund of your final value fee, and you could relist the item. But remember, in this instance, it hasn't been 2 days, it's been 4 days since I have not actually received the funds. I mean, technically it does look like someone tried to send a payment, so PayPal and eBay consider that a payment kind of went through. It's considered sold, but it's not actually really technically paid because no money has been transferred over into my account. So in my estimation, what should happen in this situation immediately, once this happens to PayPal, there needs to be quicker communication from PayPal to eBay that this didn't go through. And in my account, you can't tell. I'm just getting this from PayPal, but according to eBay, it's still sold and we're still waiting on payment. And this could go on for hours, depending on what you're doing during the day. You may go in later on, like 4 hours, 5 hours later, and still gonna look like this within eBay. So what you need to do is you have to call eBay and you have to explain to them the situation. Now, when I did that, I wound up getting the Philippines location, and that is one of the, sometimes it's one of the toughest situations to deal with, because sometimes there's some communication barriers, and what you're trying to explain, they don't always understand it correctly, and you have to repeat it, and it could sometimes take forever to get to a solution that works, but you have to stick with it, and you have to be patient with them on the phone. So what happened, I explained the situation, and I told them what was going on, and I said, really, I think what needs to happen here is that an unpaid item case needs to be opened by you. I couldn't open it, and the reason why I couldn't open it is that within eBay, it still shows up as sold. It doesn't show up as that the person didn't send a payment. So I could not manually open a case. So what the person from eBay told me is that I should contact the buyer, which I had already done several times, and they responded initially saying, oh, it's okay, but then towards the end stopped responding, which is always a bad sign. And so I told the person on eBay, I hadn't heard back. They said, well, try contacting them again and see if they'll, arrange alternate ways or an alternate way to pay you. I said, well, I already contacted them, and if I don't hear back by what day, do you suggest that I call back and get a case open? And the person said, we can't tell you what day to call back. I said, okay, if you can't tell me what day to call back, then at least tell me if the person doesn't pay by such and such day, then what day would eBay, what point would eBay consider this an unpaid item and automatically open an unpaid item on my behalf? Because I normally have it set for 2 days. And the person put me on hold and never actually answered that question, and instead said to me, I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to personally, this is the eBay rep telling me this, I am going to personally contact this buyer, and I'm going to tell them that they need to contact you. And I guarantee you, Dominic, person says, that they'll respond. And my response to that was pretty incredulous, and I said, how could you guarantee me that this person is going to respond? They, first of all, have zero feedback, and there's no motivation for them to actually respond. Their account's not going to be affected in really any way that's going to be meaningful to them if they have no reputation. So what does it really matter? And a person says, well, I'll tell you what, if I send the message out and they don't respond within 3 days, then you call us back and we'll open up an unpaid item case. And I said, hold on a second. Let's just think this through logically for a second. If in a normal situation, a person didn't pay me and payment did not come through in 48 hours, an unpaid item case would open up. I said, in this situation, what you're telling me is I've already waited 4 days, and now you're telling me I have to send out a message, or you're going to send out a message, and if there's no response in 3 days, then you'll open up an unpaid item case. So that's 7 days to open up the unpaid item case. Plus they have like 4 days after that to pay. So I've got to wait basically 12 days on an item that had 4 watchers. I said, that's crazy. I said, here's what I'm asking you to do for me right now, because I know that you have the ability to do this. What I need you to do, if you really want to put pressure on the buyer that they need to respond, I said you need to put an unpaid item case up. You need to open it up, and there at least the person will get a message that says, if you don't pay, you'll get an unpaid item strike, and if you get enough of these unpaid item strikes, then you can't buy on eBay anymore. I know the person's probably not going to care, because they could just open up another account since they have zero feedback. But the point is, it's really the only way to exert any kind of leverage whatsoever on this buyer. And at least for me, for seller support, it does at least get the ball rolling, so I could at least feel comfortable that, okay, at least, even if the person doesn't respond, then within a couple of days, I could put my item back up. So person says, you know what, that makes sense, and I'm going to do that for you right now. I'm going to open this up for you after I was able to show them that I had no ability to manually open this. Like, they tried to take me to the resolution center and show me how to open up, which I already knew, but again, couldn't open it because the information had not been communicated from PayPal to eBay. And that's a problem that really does need to be fixed if anyone from eBay is watching this. Although I guess that problem's going to get resolved anyway once they go to their, fully over to their own payment system, and they're not worried about PayPal. So it's probably not going to get fixed, which is why you need to know about this if you still are doing deals through eBay. So after a few days go by, you could see here on July 2nd, it says the unpaid item case was closed. So I received my final value fee credit, and now I have the item listed back up on eBay for $59.99, and we'll see if it sells for that price or, you know, the $50, $54.99. Who knows? Hopefully it'll work out that after all this, I get the full $59.99, right? That would be a nice way to end the situation. But, you know, that's what I wanted to tell you. Main points, again, just to summarize, is with the e-check, don't send the item out until you actually get that payment that clears. You will get a notification if it clears, by the way, that it did clear, and then, you know, it's you know, all good to go send out the item. Make sure you're communicating with the buyer so that you know, everything is just out in the open in terms of what is going on. And perhaps most importantly, you really need to make sure you advocate for yourself and stand up for yourself in a, you know, respectful way. But if you're not getting your point across clearly, which I was not initially, again, part of that's communication barrier, so you gotta understand that, gotta kind of work with that a little bit, and it does sometimes take a while to you know, get a solution that you agreed to if you're calling that location for eBay. But ultimately, you know, it did resolve in a way that I was satisfied with by the end of the call. It just took a while to get there. So if you have had experiences with the PayPal e-check system, good or bad, let me know. Have the majority of them not cleared? Have the majority of them cleared? For me, the majority of them have cleared. I don't get them too often. The percentage of them that you will get does partly depend on your volume. I would say I get less than a handful a year. And they've all cleared up to this point. It's the first instance that it didn't, but, you know, that's another point too. If you have experience that all of them have cleared, you may say, you know what, they've all cleared in the past, this one will clear too. This is a good example of how that's not always the case. So just be mindful of that. Again, especially if you're new, if you think this video is helpful, please pass it on to someone else. Little programming note tonight. This is July 5th. I will be on the Thrift Shop Hustlers channel. Check his channel for the exact time. I believe it is 9 p.m. In fact, I'm certain. It's 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. So check that out. I'm going to have a good time over there with Chris. We do a lot of similar things. So go check that out. Join us in the chat and come by, ask some questions, make some comments, have fun over there. And if you're watching this after July 5th, just go over to Chris's channel and check out the interview. So that's pretty much it. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Come by to my Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. And also come follow me on Instagram. I am by myself flying solo for a few days. So it's me and Daisy steering the ship. And I put up some funny pictures in my stories and on my feed there on Instagram. And me and Daisy just hanging out, chilling out, having a ball, having some fun, and it's all good. Hope you all had a good 4th of July, and enjoy the weekend, everyone. Take care. I'll see you at the next video. Bye-bye.